Hi, I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is very far from boring. And today you've landed on one of my bonus episodes which come out every Wednesday. And be sure to check out my main episodes from Monday. Now today we're doing another Q&A. I feel like these are like the lazy option for me to do, like answering everyone's questions.
Oh, so I'm the lazy episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, this is Producer Xander on, as usual, for the Q&As.
Yeah, I feel like this is a little thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
But I will say, I feel like in the podcast world, doing a Q&A episode does seem like the easy way out, or like boring or lazy. Or not boring, but lazy. But I think it's great to actually have our community here on Big Business ask questions, and we're quite literally answering them for them.
I love these episodes, and not just because I'm on them. It's because I love to hear the questions that people send in. And then some of them are so specific, and some of them are so personal that we can't even have them on the podcast.
Some of them, they're very personal. I'll tell you what else I think we should do is I love these, kind of question episodes, but I thought we could also do like an advice series.
Love.
Where it's not just asking a question in general, but people maybe send in a question about their business in particular, and then I kind of look at their business and give them advice based on whatever it is that they're wanting to know, like how can I improve my website, or why isn't my content performing very well? I feel like that could be a whole other angle that we take with this podcast as well.
Yeah, I love that. And then if it does fail, they can blame you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'll be getting sued.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, I jumped on my Big Business Instagram account. Like usual, if you're not following me on there, feel free to, because that's where I put my question boxes for these episodes, and that's where you can DM me and I'll most likely see it because it's only got 6,000 followers. So I've chucked up a question box and we're just going to get straight into answering these questions, and Xander's going to ask them to me as always.
Question 1. How do you deal with giving feedback, like you're doing a shit job kind of feedback?
Well, we definitely don't say it like that. I've said this a lot on the podcast already, but it is really tough to have those tough, awkward conversations with your employees because, I mean, unless you're a really mean person, no one wants to say to anyone, you're not doing a good enough job, or what happened there, or why was that so shit? But my advice would be keep the conversation open and ongoing with your staff at all times. Don't just talk to them when shit's hit the fan, which I feel like maybe a lot of workplaces are that way. Like you don't have many catch-ups with your manager or anything, and then all of a sudden you're having a catch-up with them, but it's about something really negative. I think if you prioritize communication in your workplace in general on a day-to-day basis during the week, then when it comes to having a more tough conversation with your employee, they're used to talking to you already. And the good thing about having regular catch-ups and one-on-ones and even small team meetings is it gives you the opportunity to iron out those creases before maybe they even turn into something really shit. For this person in particular, it's just going to have to be, and I know I always say this, a hard conversation to have an easy life. Sit the person down, just be real and honest with them. That's one thing that I would always advise, is just speak to them from one human to another. It doesn't have to be this hierarchy sort of vibe of I'm your boss and you're the employee and you've done wrong, but just make it an adult conversation. Hey, I wanted to have this chat with you. I know this is awkward for both of us, but I'm hoping that we can, come up with a solution together. I've noticed you're falling behind on your tasks or you're not meeting your deadlines or whatever it is. How can I help you to make this, how can we fix this together kind of thing, instead of just putting the blame?
I'm probably a good example. I don't take feedback well, and it's not because I think I'm doing such a great job. It's because I'm particularly hard on myself. So say if there's negative or constructive feedback, I struggle to take that on in a positive way because I'm already so hard on myself.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people. Like, it's hard to go, oh, fuck, I've fucked up. It's just hard.
This is something I do personally when I start a new job or I got a new manager or something. I like to communicate them on how to kind of give me that feedback. And so I've actually passed this on to one of my managers here at Nova, and I said, one thing that will help me is just reassurance, like along the way, because that really makes me go, okay, cool, I am doing fine, I am doing a good job. And when it comes to those hard conversations, I prefer to kind of go through like the wins that I have or the positive things that I've done, and then we can kind of finish on that constructive feedback because then I just don't feel like I'm doing shit completely wrong.
Yes.
And that there are things that I am achieving, there are goals that I'm reaching as well. And that's something that maybe anyone listening could do. That's maybe you don't like to do that, but that works for me as someone who doesn't take feedback quite well sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's another good point that you made as well. And one thing that we work on with our managers, it's our responsibility as managers of people to understand everyone's individual needs. You can't manage every employee exactly the same because everyone is so unique and different. So to our managers that have teams working underneath them, we always say, figure out the individual needs of each person on your team. Like you like words of affirmation.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, Xander is on my team. He loves being told that he's doing a good job. Whereas some people don't want you to say, you're doing a great job or whatever.
Yeah, they're like,
people,
I know.
Yeah, some people don't like that. Maybe some people prefer for you to help them more in a hands-on kind of way. Like they like practical help. I think it's really important to understand that all of your staff are different. You can't just have like a textbook way of treating every single employee because everyone's so different. It's finding out their needs, catering to them. And when you do have those tough conversations, be real about it and always try and do a bit of a sandwich. Like you said, come in with a positive, then touch on the negative thing in the middle, but end it on a positive. Like the 2 pieces of bread are the positives.
A constructive sandwich.
Yes, exactly right. And end it on a positive and make it, how can we fix this together?
Question number 2. What is the best money you've spent on your business?
That is a bloody good question. I'm going to say, there's a lot of things. And maybe that's a whole other episode in itself.
I know,
as well.
I was just thinking that.
The best money I've ever spent in all the different areas. I would say over the last couple of years, like the last 2 years, especially because we've gone from that more really small business kind of vibe where there was only ever like 4 of us in the office, now we've got this huge office of like over 10 of us. The best money that I've ever spent is hiring the right people for my business. It's like I couldn't do what I do. Fate wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for the amazing people that we've hired. And I see hiring people not as an expense, which I feel like maybe a lot of business owners do. They're like, oh, it's going to cost me money. I'm going to pay them, like blah, blah, blah. But like the things that come out of hiring an amazing person to like in a role in your business, it's just priceless. So I'd say like, yeah, the best money that I've spent is hiring the right people and paying them to do their jobs because it's only making my time more free to do the things I need to. And it's moving my business forward.
And if you hire the right people, they're adding value.
Oh, 100%. Like your employees are like an asset to your business. They're not an expense. Even though it costs money, it's the best money you'll ever spend, really. But there's so many other things, I guess, that I've spent money on that's been so worth it. But I'm going to stick with that one and maybe we'll revisit that in the future and talk about all the best things that I've spent my money on.
Question number 3. Brittney, what age do you think you'll retire?
40?
40? We're not far off.
I'm kidding. That's a great question. I mean, what is the retirement age? Is it like 66 or something?
I don't know.
now?
I remember in high school it was like early
60,
60s and all of a sudden
yeah.
I think it's close to 70 now. So
That's crazy.
I know.
I mean, I think when you are an entrepreneur and a business owner, I think maybe you have a little bit of a different mindset on retiring because I feel like I'm very fortunate to feel like I'm not in the rat race of like wanting to build up a career to a certain point and get to the top and then retire. Like it's actually not a thought in my mind at all about retiring, even though I think it is for some people, but maybe not so much these days. Like I feel like we're all really trying to live for now. I don't want to live for the future when I can finally retire, like.
Well, you're not stuck in like a really mundane job that you don't enjoy doing.
Yes.
And I think people look forward to retirement a lot of the time because they're like, oh, I can not work now for the rest of my life. But
Yeah.
if you actually enjoy what you're doing,
I don't
that
feel like
narrative
I'm
changes.
working. Yeah. But in saying that, like, I can picture myself when I am in my 60s or whatever, like cruising around the world in Italy on some yacht thing or whatever, like have people go on those cruises and whatever. Like that'd be great, but I don't even want to think that far ahead into the future. As much as I would want to put an age on when I'm going to retire, I think I might be one of those people that's just going until I fucking drop dead. I've seen videos of like Richard Branson and I've spoken with Mark Boris about like retiring and Mark says like, I'm going until I'm literally drop dead.
Yeah.
And same with Richard Branson. I think that's just going to be me and who I am. I don't see myself ever stopping, but when my body stops me, I'll stop.
Yeah.
How about that? 40.
How about that?
40.
Last question for today. How often do you have a sale? I'm really worried that I have too many and that it makes my business cheap.
Great question. And I did do a whole main episode on this. If you listen to my discount codes episodes, like I talk about discount codes and sales. So if you want to hear this more in depth, by all means, go and listen to that. But how often do we have a sale? I want to say not that often. We just did one for like the end of financial year, but we called it start of financial year, which was just this fun little idea that we had. So we called it SOFI instead of like EFI sale. And then we will generally participate in Black Friday and then Boxing Day. I'd say they're like our main three. There are so many sales periods throughout the year. You can choose which ones you want to jump in or which ones you don't. But I feel like Black Friday and Boxing Day are huge ones and they're really close together. So be mindful of that. And I think it's good doing an end of financial year or start of financial year one because it's smack bang in the middle. And then pick and choose. Like we do random ones when we moved warehouse. We did a moving warehouse sale. But yeah, I'd say like 3 a year, 4, pick and choose. And then you can treat your customers in other ways with smaller discounts throughout the year when you aren't having that big sales period.
Think of it this way. You don't want to be Nicki Minaj jumping on every song. You want to be Beyonce and do a feature here and there.
I love that. No shade to Nicki Minaj. Anyway, my friends, that is another bonus ep of Big Business out the door. I'll be back on Monday with a main episode. And in the meantime, feel free to stay up to date with me over on Insta. Thanks, Xander, for joining me once again.